Imagine a place that contained the knowledge of the entire known world. A place where the greatest minds gathered to unlock the secrets of the universe. A place filled with discoveries, inventions, and ideas that could change history forever. Then imagine it all disappearing. Not hidden, not relocated, lost, forever. This is the story of the Library of Alexandria, one of history's greatest mysteries. To understand the library, we must first understand the city that gave it life. Alexandria was founded by one of history's greatest conquerors, a man whose ambitions stretched beyond kingdoms and continents. His name was Alexander the Great, and his vision would transform the ancient world. Founded in 331 BC on Egypt's Mediterranean coast, Alexandria quickly became one of the most important cities in the world. Its strategic location connected Africa, Asia, and Europe. Merchants arrived from distant lands. Cultures mixed. Ideas flourished. The city was becoming a center of power unlike any before it. But Alexander would never see the full glory of the city that bore his name. After his death, his empire was divided among his generals. Egypt fell under the control of Ptolemy, a ruler determined to make Alexandria the intellectual capital of the world. Ptolemy's vision was ambitious. He wanted more than wealth, more than military power. He wanted knowledge, a place where every book, every scroll, and every idea could be collected and preserved. A place where humanity's wisdom would be protected for future generations. And so, the Library of Alexandria was born. Its purpose was unlike anything the world had ever seen: to gather the knowledge of every civilization, every culture, every language. A mission so ambitious that it would redefine the pursuit of learning itself. The library was more than a building. It was part of a larger institution known as the Mouseion, a center dedicated to learning, research, and discovery. Scholars lived and worked there. Ideas were debated. Questions were explored. Knowledge became its own form of power. The rulers of Alexandria pursued knowledge with relentless determination. Books were sought from every corner of the known world. Messengers traveled vast distances. Ships arrived carrying manuscripts from distant lands. The library's collection continued to grow, and grow, and grow. No one knows exactly how many works were stored within the library. Some ancient sources claim hundreds of thousands of scrolls. Mathematics, medicine, astronomy, philosophy, history, poetry. The accumulated wisdom of centuries rested within its walls. As the years passed, the Library of Alexandria became legendary. Students dreamed of studying there. Scholars traveled across continents to enter its halls. It was more than a library. It was humanity's greatest attempt to understand the world. And yet, its greatest challenge still lay ahead. From every corner of the known world, scholars traveled to Alexandria. Some came from Greece, others from Egypt, Persia, India, and beyond. They crossed deserts and seas in pursuit of something more valuable than gold: knowledge. Within the walls of Alexandria, the greatest minds of the age would gather under one roof. The Library of Alexandria was unlike any institution before it. Scholars were given places to live, food to eat, resources to study. Their only responsibility was to learn, teach, and expand humanity's understanding of the world. For many, it was the ultimate intellectual paradise. Among the library's most brilliant minds was a scholar named Eratosthenes. More than 2,000 years ago, he accomplished something extraordinary. Using shadows, mathematics, and careful observation, he calculated the circumference of the Earth with remarkable accuracy. At a time when much of the world remained unexplored, he proved just how powerful human curiosity could be. The scholars of Alexandria did not simply study the world. They attempted to map it. Using reports from travelers, merchants, and explorers, they created some of the most advanced geographical records of the ancient era. Every new discovery brought humanity one step closer to understanding its place on Earth. When night fell over Alexandria, learning did not stop. Astronomers turned their eyes toward the heavens. They tracked stars, studied planets, recorded celestial movements, and asked questions that humanity continues to ask even today. What lies beyond our world? Within the library's halls, physicians sought to understand the human body. They studied disease, recorded treatments, and advanced medical knowledge far beyond what many civilizations had previously achieved. Their discoveries would influence generations of healers to come. Alexandria was not only a place of ideas, it was a place of innovation. Inventors designed machines, experimented with mechanics, and explored technologies far ahead of their time. Some creations seemed almost magical to those who witnessed them. Every day, the halls echoed with discussion. Philosophers debated reality. Scientists challenged assumptions. Mathematicians defended theories. Knowledge was not accepted blindly. It was questioned, tested, refined, and through that process, understanding grew. The influence of Alexandria extended far beyond Egypt. Its discoveries spread across continents. Its scholars shaped future generations. Its collection became a beacon for anyone seeking wisdom. For a time, it seemed that knowledge itself had found a permanent home. The dream of Alexandria was bold: to gather all knowledge, to preserve every discovery, to ensure that wisdom would never be lost. But history has a way of testing even the greatest ambitions. And soon, forces beyond the library's control would begin to threaten everything it had built. The true wealth of Alexandria was not gold. It was not silver. It was not power. Its greatest treasure was knowledge. Stored within countless scrolls were ideas collected from centuries of human experience. Each shelf held discoveries. Each scroll contained a piece of humanity's story. The library sought to preserve knowledge from every civilization it could reach. Greek philosophy, Egyptian history, Persian records, Babylonian astronomy. Texts from distant lands flowed into Alexandria, creating one of the most diverse collections ever assembled. Many scrolls recorded the rise and fall of kingdoms, wars, dynasties, conquests, and the lives of remarkable individuals. Some of these works survived through copies. Others may have vanished forever, leaving gaps in humanity's understanding of its own past. Within the library, mathematics flourished. Scholars explored geometry, measurement, and numerical relationships. Their work laid foundations that would influence science for centuries. Knowledge that still echoes through classrooms and laboratories today. The heavens fascinated the scholars of Alexandria. They tracked the movement of stars, observed the planets, and developed theories about the structure of the universe. Some ideas were astonishingly advanced for their time. Others challenged the accepted beliefs of the ancient world. Medical texts filled many shelves of the library. Physicians documented treatments, observations, and discoveries about the human body. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next, each new insight helping humanity better understand health and disease. Some scholars explored engineering and mechanics. They designed devices powered by water, air, and simple machines. Many of their inventions have been lost to history, but surviving descriptions suggest a level of creativity that continues to impress. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not what survived, but what was lost. How many scrolls disappeared without a trace? How many discoveries vanished with them? Questions like these continue to fuel the legend of Alexandria. Some historians believe the library may have contained works that could have transformed our understanding of the ancient world. Texts that are now gone, ideas that were never recovered, voices that have been silent for centuries. The loss is impossible to measure. Yet during its golden age, the Library of Alexandria continued to expand. More ships arrived. More books were copied. More knowledge was gathered. Its ambition seemed limitless. But with greatness came attention, and attention would soon bring danger. The vision of Alexandria was simple to describe, but nearly impossible to achieve. Its rulers wanted nothing less than the complete collection of human knowledge. Every scroll, every manuscript, every idea, from every corner of the known world. It was one of the most ambitious intellectual projects in history. Agents were sent across continents in search of rare texts. They traveled to distant kingdoms, visited temples, explored archives, and purchased valuable manuscripts whenever they could. No source of knowledge was considered too far away. Alexandria's harbor became one of the busiest in the Mediterranean. Ships arrived daily carrying goods, travelers, and information. For the library, every arriving vessel represented an opportunity, because knowledge often traveled hidden among cargo and passengers. According to ancient accounts, officials inspected incoming ships for books and manuscripts. Any text deemed valuable was brought to the library. There, scholars carefully examined and copied its contents. Few places on Earth pursued knowledge with such determination. Some accounts claim that the library kept the original manuscripts and returned copies to their owners. Whether entirely true or not, the story reflects Alexandria's relentless desire to expand its collection. Knowledge was considered a treasure worth preserving at almost any cost. The scribes of Alexandria worked tirelessly. Day after day, they copied texts by hand. Every word required patience. Every scroll demanded precision. Their efforts helped preserve knowledge that might otherwise have vanished forever. Not all manuscripts arrived in the same language. Texts from different cultures had to be translated, interpreted, and studied. The library became a meeting place for ideas from across the ancient world, a bridge connecting civilizations through knowledge. As the years passed, the collection grew to extraordinary proportions. Ancient writers claimed the library contained hundreds of thousands of scrolls. The exact number remains uncertain, but its reputation became legendary. Nothing else in the ancient world came close. The library became the pride of Alexandria, a symbol of learning, a symbol of culture, a symbol of human curiosity itself. For many, it represented the belief that knowledge could improve the world, and that wisdom was worth protecting. But no institution remains untouched forever. Beyond Alexandria's walls, powerful forces were reshaping the ancient world. Empires were rising, wars were brewing, political tensions were growing, and soon, events far beyond the library's control would place everything it had built in danger. By the 1st century BC, the ancient world was changing. New powers were rising. Old kingdoms were struggling. The balance that had once protected Alexandria was beginning to weaken. The city remained wealthy. The library remained famous. But neither was immune to the storms gathering beyond its walls. Among the powers reshaping the world was Rome. What had once been a republic was rapidly expanding into an empire. Its armies conquered distant lands. Its influence reached across continents. And before long, Rome's ambitions would intersect with the fate of Alexandria. At the same time, Egypt faced its own internal struggles. Political rivalries divided the kingdom. Power shifted between competing factions. The stability that had once fueled Alexandria's golden age was beginning to fracture, and uncertainty spread throughout the land. Into this turmoil stepped one of history's most famous figures, Julius Caesar, a brilliant commander, a skilled politician, a man whose decisions would influence the future of civilizations. When Caesar arrived in Alexandria, the city stood at the center of a growing conflict. Alexandria was no longer simply a center of learning. It had become a battleground of competing interests. Political alliances shifted. Enemies watched from the shadows. And tensions escalated with each passing day. The city stood on the edge of chaos. The conflict soon erupted into open violence. Roman forces became involved in Egypt's political struggle. Battles broke out across the city. The streets that once welcomed scholars now echoed with the sounds of war. Alexandria's future had become uncertain. During the conflict, Caesar ordered ships in Alexandria's harbor to be set ablaze. The goal was military, to prevent enemy forces from gaining control of the fleet. But what happened next remains one of history's most debated questions. Ancient accounts suggest that the fire may have spread beyond the harbor. Warehouses burned, buildings were threatened, and somewhere within the city stood the world's greatest library. Did the flames reach its priceless collection? Or was the damage limited to nearby structures? The answer remains uncertain. Ancient accounts suggest that the fire may have spread beyond the harbor. Warehouses burned, buildings were threatened, and somewhere within the city stood the world's greatest library. Did the flames reach its priceless collection? Or was the damage limited to nearby structures? The answer remains uncertain. Despite the disaster, many scholars believe the Library of Alexandria survived. Damaged perhaps, weakened perhaps, but not destroyed. The institution continued to exist. Its halls continued to teach. Its scholars continued to learn. For now, the library endured. But its greatest challenges were still to come. Despite the disaster, many scholars believe the Library of Alexandria survived. Damaged perhaps, weakened perhaps, but not destroyed. The institution continued to exist. Its halls continued to teach. Its scholars continued to learn. For now, the library endured. But its greatest challenges were still to come. The ancient world was transforming. Rome tightened its grip across the Mediterranean. Political priorities shifted. Resources that once supported learning and research were increasingly directed elsewhere. The pursuit of knowledge was no longer the highest priority. Great institutions require support, money, leadership, protection. Without them, even the most remarkable achievements can begin to weaken. As political conditions changed, the library may have struggled to maintain the level of support it once enjoyed. One of the greatest misconceptions about Alexandria is the belief that a single event destroyed everything. The reality may have been far more gradual. Decades became centuries, generations passed, and with each passing era, the library may have lost a little more of what made it extraordinary. As new religious movements spread across the Roman world, tensions sometimes emerged between different groups. Ancient traditions were challenged. Old institutions faced increasing pressure. Some historians believe these cultural changes contributed to the decline of Alexandria's intellectual centers. One important institution connected to the Library of Alexandria was the Serapeum, part temple, part center of learning. Some historians believe it housed a significant collection of scrolls connected to the library's legacy. Its fate would become part of the larger mystery surrounding Alexandria's lost knowledge. In the late 4th century, the Serapeum was destroyed during a period of religious conflict. What exactly was lost remains uncertain. Some argue that valuable texts disappeared. Others believe much of the collection had already vanished. The truth remains difficult to determine. As the centuries passed, references to the great library became increasingly rare. The voices of its scholars faded. The shelves emptied. The manuscripts scattered. One of humanity's greatest centers of learning slowly disappeared from history. Perhaps the most surprising conclusion is this. There may never have been a single moment when the Library of Alexandria died. No final fire. No final battle. No single catastrophe. Instead, the loss may have unfolded gradually, across centuries. A slow fading rather than a sudden end. And that possibility makes the story even more tragic, because it suggests that humanity did not lose its greatest library in a single disaster. It lost it piece by piece, generation by generation, until one day it was simply gone. For centuries, people have asked the same question. What was lost when the Library of Alexandria disappeared? The answer is both simple and heartbreaking. We don't know. And that uncertainty is what makes the mystery so powerful. Because we cannot measure what vanished. We can only imagine it. Every lost scroll represented a human voice. A thinker, a scientist, a philosopher, a historian. Many of those voices have been silent for thousands of years. Their ideas disappeared before they could be copied or preserved, taking their knowledge with them. Entire histories may have vanished. Accounts of forgotten kingdoms, descriptions of ancient cultures, stories from civilizations whose records no longer exist. The library may have preserved details about the ancient world that we can now only guess at. Some historians wonder whether scientific discoveries disappeared with the library, ideas that were centuries ahead of their time, observations never repeated, experiments never recorded elsewhere, knowledge that may have accelerated human progress had it survived. Ancient inventors were often more innovative than we imagine. The scholars of Alexandria explored mechanics, mathematics, and engineering. How many inventions were documented in scrolls that no longer exist? We may never know. Not everything was lost. Some works survived because copies existed elsewhere. Texts were carried to distant cities, copied by later scholars, preserved by generations who recognized their value. Without those efforts, the loss would have been even greater. Imagine a world in which the Library of Alexandria had survived. A world where every scroll remained intact, every discovery preserved, every generation building upon the knowledge of those before it. How different might history have been? Today, the Library of Alexandria represents something larger than a building. It has become a symbol, a reminder of how fragile knowledge can be, and how easily the achievements of entire generations can disappear. This is why the story continues to captivate us. Because the loss feels personal. The missing scrolls were not merely books. They were possibilities, ideas, questions, answers, pieces of humanity's collective memory. Even today, historians and archaeologists continue searching for clues, fragments of texts, references in ancient writings, evidence hidden beneath the earth. The mystery of Alexandria is not entirely finished. The search continues. More than 2,000 years later, one question continues to haunt historians. What really happened to the Library of Alexandria? It seems like a simple question, but the deeper researchers investigate, the more complicated the answer becomes. Because the truth is buried beneath centuries of legend, myth, and conflicting accounts. The most famous theory blames a single catastrophic event, the fire associated with Julius Caesar's campaign in Alexandria. For generations, people believed this blaze destroyed the entire library. It is a dramatic story, but modern historians are not convinced. If the library had been completely destroyed during Caesar's time, why do records suggest scholarly activity continued afterward? Why do later writers still mention collections of books in Alexandria? These questions have led many historians to doubt the traditional narrative. Another theory suggests that the library was not destroyed all at once. Instead, it slowly declined over centuries. Political instability, economic challenges, changing priorities, each generation losing a little more than the one before, until eventually, almost nothing remained. Some researchers focus on the destruction of the Serapeum, a major center of learning connected to Alexandria's intellectual tradition. If important collections were housed there, its destruction may have dealt a devastating blow to the preservation of knowledge. Centuries later, another story emerged. According to a popular legend, the library was destroyed following the Arab conquest of Egypt. But most modern historians view this account with skepticism. The evidence is weak, and the story appears centuries after the events it describes. Today, many historians favor a more gradual explanation. The library was likely weakened by multiple events: wars, political change, religious conflict, economic decline. No single disaster ended Alexandria's legacy. Instead, centuries of disruption slowly erased it. Even the exact location of the original library remains uncertain. Modern Alexandria stands atop layers of ancient history. Much of the ancient city lies hidden beneath later construction and the sea. The search for definitive answers continues. Perhaps that is why the story remains so compelling. Because no one can point to a single day when everything was lost. The Library of Alexandria exists in a space between history and mystery, a puzzle whose final pieces may never be found. The evidence may never provide complete certainty. But one thing is clear. Humanity lost something extraordinary. Not merely a building, not merely a collection of scrolls, but a symbol of our desire to understand the world. And perhaps that is the greatest loss of all. The Library of Alexandria was never just a building. It was an idea, a belief that knowledge should be collected, preserved, and shared. That belief survived long after the library itself disappeared. And in many ways, it still shapes our world today. Every library on Earth carries a small piece of Alexandria's legacy. Rows of books, archives of knowledge, places where ideas are protected from being forgotten. The dream that began in ancient Egypt never truly died. It simply evolved. Today, humanity possesses something the founders of Alexandria could scarcely imagine: digital libraries, global communication, instant access to information, knowledge that can travel across continents in seconds. Yet the goal remains remarkably familiar: to preserve what we know and pass it forward. The story of Alexandria teaches an important lesson. Knowledge is powerful, but it is also fragile. Without preservation, even the greatest achievements can disappear. Without care, entire generations of wisdom can be lost. History has shown this more than once. For thousands of years, humanity has pursued the same goal: to understand the world, to ask questions, to seek answers. The scholars of Alexandria were part of that journey, and so are we. Many great cities have vanished. Many powerful rulers have been forgotten. Yet the Library of Alexandria remains alive in our imagination. Because its story is not about power. It is about curiosity. And curiosity is one of humanity's most enduring qualities. In a sense, the Library of Alexandria still exists. Not in stone, not in marble, but as an idea. A reminder of what humanity can achieve when it values learning above all else. A ghost that continues to inspire generations. Perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that the library was lost. Perhaps it is that we can never know exactly what disappeared with it. The unwritten futures, the forgotten discoveries, the voices that history could not preserve. What if the Library of Alexandria had survived? Would history be different? Would science have advanced sooner? Would lost discoveries have changed the course of civilization? It is a question that can never be answered, and perhaps that is why it continues to fascinate us. The Library of Alexandria is gone. Its shelves are empty, its scrolls scattered by time. Yet its story endures, a story of ambition, of curiosity, of knowledge pursued against impossible odds, and a reminder that the greatest treasures in history are not always made of gold. Sometimes, they are made of ideas. What do you think was lost in the Library of Alexandria? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe for more forgotten mysteries, lost civilizations, and ancient legends. Ancient Whisper, where forgotten history speaks.